My parents gave gifts to everyone, except my daughter. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "Grandma, do you hate me?" My mother smirked and said, "Gifts are for children who deserve them. Your sister's child is real family." I simply replied, "I understand, we'll never speak again," and walked away. But days later my parents stood before me crying. In a quiet residential area of Greenwich, Connecticut, the Bradley Mansion stood out among the white colonial-style homes. The well-maintained front yard bloomed with seasonal flowers, and the stone path leading to the entrance exuded movie scene elegance. Valued at $2,500,000, this mansion had been the Bradley family's home for over 30 years. In that garden, a little girl was watering the flowers. Lily Morrison, age 8, was a second grader at St. Mary's Elementary School. Her warm, dark eyes and thoughtful nature endeared her to the adults around her. As usual, she was stopping by her grandparents' house after school. The neighbors watched with fondness as the little girl tended to the garden day after day. "Lily, thank you for watering the flowers for Grandma." The voice from the entrance belonged to Lily's mother, Amy Morrison. At 35, she was the director of research and development at a major pharmaceutical company. Though gentle in nature, she possessed inner strength and had adopted Lily 8 years ago. She also took responsibility for her parents' monthly rent support of $3,000 in medical insurance payments. Though her relationship with her parents remained delicate after choosing not to inherit the family real estate business, she didn't regret her decision. "Mom, I baked Grandpa's favorite cookies today. Mrs. Johnson taught me the recipe." The paper bag Lily proudly displayed held the warm aroma of chocolate chip cookies. Her cooking lessons with the elderly neighbor had become her favorite pastime recently. "Oh, how wonderful. Grandpa will be so happy." Standing next to Amy as she smiled was her husband, Michael. At 37, he was the owner of an IT company, supporting his family with a stable income of over $300,000 annually. He had always supported his wife's decisions, cherishing the vow to walk together through all times that they made at their wedding in St. Mary's Church. Inside the house, Robert and Diana were reviewing documents in the sitting room. As owners of Bradley Real Estate, they constantly worried about the company's future. Passing down their $5 million annual revenue business to the next generation was their life's greatest challenge. For these two who valued tradition and appearances, the succession issue kept them up at night. Their younger daughter Caitlin bore the weight of these expectations. Having switched from being a lawyer to handling the family business's accounting, she had earned her parents' trust despite her showy and pretentious nature. Even after her divorce, she threw herself into work with determination, striving to meet her parents' expectations. Caitlin's son Jacob, age 7, attended Greenwich Academy, considered the most prestigious private school in Greenwich. Though somewhat spoiled from bearing his grandparents' expectations, perhaps this was the result of excessive pressure from those around him. "Mother, please review these new contracts." The business meeting at Lascales went well. Diana began reviewing the documents Caitlin handed her. Even in this digital age, both parents preferred paper documentation. Caitlin accepted her parents' old-fashioned ways with an understanding smile. No one noticed the ulterior motives behind that smile. As dusk approached, the light through the windows gradually softened. Lily had finished watering the last of the garden flowers, wearing a satisfied expression. Neighborhood housewives returning from Whole Foods Market waved kindly to her. Amy felt a quiet happiness as she watched her daughter. In December, Grenache was wrapped in Christmas lights. Preparations for a lavish party were underway at the Bradley Mansion. Antique ornaments elegantly adorned the Christmas tree that reached the living room ceiling, and inherited stockings hung above the fireplace. "Grandma, can I hang this wreath too?" Lily carefully held her handmade wreath. Made at St. Mary's Church's Christmas workshop, it possessed a simple beauty decorated with ribbons and pine cones. "Yes, let's hang it at the entrance." Diana responded dismissively while checking the placement of expensive decorations purchased from luxury department stores. She felt a momentary pang of guilt at Lily's innocent smile but quickly pushed it aside. As evening fell, family members began arriving. Amy and Michael arrived with premium wine from Whole Foods. Caitlin appeared with Jacob in tow, carrying armfuls of flashily wrapped presents. "Merry Christmas." Lily greeted everyone at the entrance, handing out handmade Christmas cards. The cards carefully expressed gratitude for the past year in childish handwriting. Daily visits, watering flowers, baking cookies, 365 days of a little girl's love were contained in those words. In the sitting room, Robert stared at the fireplace. While reviewing the company's financial reports, he occasionally showed worried expressions. But tonight was a family dinner party. He decided to leave business concerns for tomorrow. "Shall we have dinner?" At Diana's voice, the family gathered around the luxurious dining table. Under the crystal chandelier, colorful dishes were arranged: roast turkey, homemade gratin, seafood salad. Desserts ordered from the upscale restaurant Lascales also commanded attention on the table. "What a wonderful dinner again this year, Mother." When Caitlin spoke, Diana nodded with satisfaction. Next to her, Jacob was excitedly discussing his latest gaming console. Beside them, Lily quietly ate her food, eagerly anticipating the gift exchange. After dinner came the time for exchanging presents. The whole family gathered around the fireplace. Under the tree, a mountain of presents wrapped in colorful paper had formed. "Let's start with Jacob." At Robert's signal, the gift exchange began. Jacob's presents were revealed one after another: the latest gaming console, luxury brand children's clothes, and educational tablet. Cheers arose with each opening. Lily waited for her turn, her heart full of expectation for her grandparents' gifts. The daily visits, time spent together, shared smiles. Surely Grandpa and Grandma must. But as presents were distributed one after another, Lily's name was never called. The room's atmosphere gradually grew heavy. Amy's expression tensed, and Michael sensed the unsettling air. "Grandma?" A small voice echoed in the silent room. Large tears glistened in Lily's eyes. "Do you hate me?" The trembling voice froze the room's atmosphere. Caitlin wore a meaningful smile, while Jacob remained absorbed in his new gaming console, indifferent. Just as Amy moved to approach her daughter, Diana's cold voice rang out. "Presents are for deserving children." Taking a sip of tea with an elegant smile, Diana continued. "My sister's child is real family after all." Those words pierced the room like ice blades. The blood drained from Amy's face. Michael clenched his fist tightly. Only the clock's ticking marked the heavy silence. The fireplace flames flickered, casting eerie dancing shadows on the walls. Outside the window, Christmas snow had begun to fall quietly. "I understand." Amy's voice was surprisingly calm. "We'll never be involved again." Amy stood up and gently lifted the sobbing Lily. Michael embraced his wife and daughter's shoulders, and the three walked silently toward the entrance. "Amy, wait," Robert called out, but it was too late. The heavy closing of the door announced the end of this night. Outside, the snow was getting heavier. Car headlights illuminated the white snow. In the back seat, Lily still clutched her handmade card with trembling hands. The words "to my beloved grandma" were still lovingly written there. The bustle of Christmas remained in Greenwich. Hymns flowed from St. Mary's Church, and warm light leaked from the windows of homes. But in the Morrison family's car, only silence filled the space. Michael occasionally glanced at his daughter in the back seat through the rearview mirror. Amy faced forward in silence, only tightly gripping her husband's hand. The morning of December, a heavy atmosphere hung over the Morrison family's dining table. Amy and Michael had spent all night discussing how to move forward. Lily was still sleeping in her room upstairs. "I've decided." Amy spoke quietly but with strong determination. "I'm stopping all support to my parents." Michael gently held his wife's hand. They'd been paying her parents $3,000 in monthly rent support and expensive medical insurance premiums. The total amount exceeded $50,000 annually. "I agree. Your parents have taken this support for granted." This decision was encouraged by a phone call from Michael's mother, Grace Morrison. As president of the St. Mary's Church Women's Association, she had heard about last night's events from neighbors and immediately contacted them. "There's no need to stay in that house. Please use our vacation home." Grace's vacation home, located a bit away from Greenwich's upscale residential area, offered a quiet and peaceful environment. Her offer became a great support for Amy's family. That afternoon, Amy met with accountant Tom Watson to proceed with stopping support to her parents. Tom was a longtime friend who understood Bradley Real Estate's financial situation. Maintenance expenses have increased dramatically over the past 6 months, and the flow of some contract payments seems unnatural. Amy stared at the documents bearing her father's signature. Knowing her father's meticulous nature, something about the signature felt off. Meanwhile, Lily naturally began avoiding visits to her grandparents' house. On her way home from St. Mary's Elementary School, she passed by their house where she used to stop every day. The garden flowers gradually faded. As January arrived, the town was wrapped in harsh cold. Amy's family had begun their new life in Grace's vacation home. In the spacious garden, Lily carefully tended to a new flower bed, and on weekends, Grace would visit to enjoy gardening together. "Grandma, do you think these rose seedlings will bloom in spring?" Grace smiled gently at Lily's question. "They'll surely bloom beautifully, just like you." Her wounded heart began to heal little by little. However, unsettling rumors began spreading around the Bradley family. Sarah Johnson, who lived nearby, found Caitlin's recent behavior suspicious. "That girl's shopping in New York again. Last week she bought several new luxury brand bags." Her lavish lifestyle, even as the family's accounting manager, caught many residents' attention. In February, Jim Clark, a veteran employee of Bradley Real Estate, requested early retirement. His sudden decision after over 30 years of service caused turmoil within the company. "Something's wrong." David Stern, the legal counsel for Michael's company, said, "There are rumors in the real estate industry about unclear transactions at Bradley Real Estate." As March began, more concerning developments surfaced. One day, Amy received a letter. The sender was Martha Collins, former accounting director of Bradley Real Estate. "Miss, I need to speak with your father." In the letter, Martha suggested serious concerns about the company's accounting practices. "Since Miss Caitlin took over accounting, there have been increasing transactions I cannot verify." The day after reading that letter, Amy drove to her parents' house to check on her father. There, she witnessed unfamiliar men in suits visiting the company. Morning newspapers reported the start of a tax investigation into Bradley Real Estate. Authorities had launched a large-scale investigation following an internal whistleblower report. "Amy, something terrible has happened." Michael had received a call first thing in the morning from his contact at the tax office. "There's strong suspicion your sister has embezzled about $5 million over the past 3 years." That afternoon, Caitlin disappeared from the company. "Mom." Caitlin left without saying anything. Receiving a panic-stricken call from Diana, Amy held her breath. Her sister had withdrawn a large sum of cash and vanished, leaving behind her 7-year-old son Jacob. As the investigation proceeded, shocking facts came to light one after another. Moving real estate contract payments to secret accounts, padding maintenance costs and pocketing the difference, freely using company seals and bank books by exploiting her parents' trust, completely controlling online banking by taking advantage of her elderly parents' digital illiteracy. One Friday evening, police arrested Caitlin at JFK International Airport as she attempted to flee the country. Why would she do this? Robert held his head in his hands at the police station. The company's reputation was in ruins, with total liabilities potentially exceeding $10 million. Diana broke down crying at home. Outside the window, the flowers Lily had once tenderly cared for swayed sadly, receiving no one's attention. Amy silently watched the news in Grace's vacation home living room. Michael was cooperating with police, supporting the digital forensic investigation. That night, Lily wrote a small prayer in her diary. Please don't let Mom be sad. And please don't let Jacob be lonely by himself. In the Greenwich Police Station interrogation room, Caitlin Bradley calmly admitted her crimes. Her voice held not a trace of her former arrogance. Her luxury brand suit had been replaced with police-issued work clothes, and her perfect makeup had faded. As the investigation progressed, shocking facts continued coming to light. The first fraud began 3 years ago. Struggling to pay alimony after her divorce, Caitlin began embezzling small amounts. However, her subsequent addiction to a luxurious lifestyle led her to greater crimes. Of the $3 million in contract payments from business partners, $500,000 went to private accounts. The detectives quietly took notes of her testimony. Meanwhile, at Bradley Real Estate headquarters, the company faced its greatest crisis since its founding. At this rate, we'll have to let go of all properties. James Foster, appointed as bankruptcy trustee, announced with a stern expression. Employees looked at each other anxiously. Amidst this, an unexpected development began. Mrs. Johnson, who lived nearby, submitted an album to the police. It was a record of photographs documenting Lily's daily activities. That child came to their house every day. The album carefully recorded dated photos of Lily tending the garden, baking cookies with her parents, accompanying her grandparents to hospital visits. Rain or snow, she never missed a day. Next, security camera footage was analyzed. There are records of visits for 367 days straight, without missing a single day. The police technician reported, even on New Year's Eve and when she had a fever from the flu, Lily always visited her grandparents' house. Testimonies also came from the St. Mary's Church Women's Association. Every Sunday after Mass, Lily would pray for them. Pastor Michael O'Connor continued his testimony quietly. She would always say, "Please let Grandpa and Grandma stay healthy." It was like an angel's pure prayer. On the morning of April 20th, Robert and Diana visited Grace's vacation home. The two looked more exhausted than ever before. Their luxury suits had been replaced with modest casual wear, and expensive rings had disappeared from Diana's fingers. "Amy, we need to talk to you." Robert faced his daughter with tears. "We made a terrible mistake," Diana continued with a trembling voice. "That child's, Lily's unconditional love, we trampled on it." The two began to speak the whole truth without hiding anything. Their excessive expectations for Caitlin, their obsession with bloodlines, their anxiety about the company's succession, and above all, their foolishness in not recognizing the true treasure right before their eyes. She came every day, yet Diana let out a sob. We just let ourselves be led by Caitlin's words. Complex emotions swirled in Amy's chest as she listened. Anger, sadness, and a strange sense of liberation. At that moment, small footsteps were heard from upstairs. "Grandpa? Grandma?" Lily came down the stairs, still in her school uniform. For a moment, the room's atmosphere froze. However, Lily's next action exceeded everyone's expectations. She walked straight to her grandparents and gently embraced them with her small arms. "Don't cry, I want to forgive you." At that moment, the room was enveloped in silence. In the kitchen, Grace quietly pressed her fingertips to her eyes. Michael gazed out the window, letting out a deep sigh. Amy, placing her hand on her daughter's back, quietly made her decision. "Dad, Mom, let's talk about what happens from here on, all of us together." Soft spring sunlight streamed into the room. Outside the window, the flowers Lily had planted were quietly beginning to bud, announcing the arrival of a new season. That evening, Amy had a private conversation with her mother-in-law, Grace. "I support your decision." Grace, who had watched over the entire situation, quietly continued. "But from now on, let us help too." The discussion about shaping a new form of family continued until late into the night. The next day, Amy met with lawyer David Stern and began making concrete plans for the future. A team of experts would be needed to rebuild the company. "With your experience and connections, rebuilding the company is possible." Amy nodded quietly at David's words. Her experience at the pharmaceutical company might help rebuild the family business in unexpected ways. Then came Caitlin's first trial. A solemn atmosphere filled the courtroom. "The defendant is hereby sentenced to 7 years in prison." As the judge's voice rang out, Caitlin bowed her head deeply. Her son Jacob had already begun a new life with his divorced father. As she left the courtroom, Caitlin left one message for Amy. "Sis, I'm truly sorry." For the first time, her words carried the ring of genuine remorse. At dusk, Amy's family and parents gathered on the terrace of Grace's vacation home. It's a new beginning, Grace said as she served warm tea. Lily was watering the newly planted flowers. Her figure seemed like a symbol of hope. We still have so much to make amends for. Everyone nodded quietly at Robert's words. Greenwich was once again wrapped in Christmas lights. Grace's vacation home had transformed greatly over the past year. The former reception room had been reborn as a family living room, and seasonal flowers bloomed throughout the garden. "Mom, can I help decorate the tree?" Lily carefully held new ornaments. On these decorations made at St. Mary's Church workshop, the words "I gratitude to family" were carefully engraved. "Of course, let's decorate together before Grandma and Grandpa arrive." Amy gently stroked her daughter's head. Over the past year, Lily had grown even kinder. Meanwhile, Robert and Diana's lives had changed dramatically. Forced to move from their large mansion in the upscale neighborhood to a modest apartment, their luxurious lifestyle had faded away. Repaying the debt is still only halfway done. Diana had gained new insights through their modest living. She began participating in volunteer activities at St. Mary's Church every Wednesday, and these experiences gradually changed her values. The value of things and the value of the heart are different. Her words contained deep reflection and new learning. Robert continued his desperate efforts toward rebuilding the company. With Amy's help, they were establishing a new management system. Though the total debt remained substantial, they were gradually seeing a path to repayment. "I'm truly grateful for your management skills." He was finally realizing the magnitude of his daughter's presence. Amy was utilizing her pharmaceutical company experience to advance the company's digitalization and reform its management system. Michael also contributed his IT company's expertise, helping build a new real estate management system. Employees found hope in seeing the couple working together to rebuild the family business. Grace warmly watched over this new form of family. "Forgiving those you love sometimes takes the greatest courage." Her words resonated deeply with everyone in the family. The monthly family meeting on the first Sunday had also become a new tradition. Though there were sometimes conflicting opinions, these two became opportunities to deepen family bonds. "Next month I'd like to start a new initiative." Robert's proposal was to dedicate part of the company's profits to an adoption support fund. "I want to give back to society what we learned from Lily." Amy felt her eyes growing hot at those words. In prison, Caitlin was earnestly working on her rehabilitation program. During her parents' visits, she expressed genuine apology for the first time. "My greed and jealousy destroyed our family." Through counseling, she had begun facing the true nature of her actions. Her son Jacob was living a settled life with his father. His formerly spoiled nature had faded, and he was gradually opening his heart in the new environment. "Can I go visit him sometimes?" Lily's casual words moved the entire family. A child's pure heart taught them the meaning of forgiveness. For this day, Lily had prepared a special present, a handmade photo album. It carefully chronicled memories from the past year, photos of moving day, church volunteer activities, family meetings, enjoying gardening. "I want to make lots more memories." Everyone smiled gently at Lily's words. At dusk, the whole family began preparing Christmas dinner. Though not as luxurious as last year's feast, the table was adorned with warm dishes made with everyone's thoughtfulness. "Let us pray." At Grace's words, everyone quietly closed their eyes. "Lord, thank you for giving us awareness and forgiving hearts." The sound of Amen quietly echoed through the room. Outside the window, light snow had begun to fall. "Look." At Lily's voice, everyone looked out the window. Small lights illuminated the trees planted in the garden. It was Michael's secretly prepared Christmas surprise. "It's like a starry sky." Diana teared up at the sight. There was a heartwarming beauty there that couldn't compare to the former luxurious decorations. "Let's create new family traditions together from now on." Everyone nodded at Amy's words. The aroma of Grace's baked apple pie filled the room. The expressions of the family around the table were wrapped in peaceful happiness. That night 1 year ago, no one could have imagined such a heartwarming scene. "So this is what true happiness is." Robert quietly nodded at Diana's whisper. Their expressions held deep regret along with the light of new hope. From this day forward, the Bradley and Morrison families were about to take a new step. It was the beginning of a long journey to heal wounded hearts and reweave true bonds. Lily stood by the window, watching the continuing snow. The light reflected in her small eyes shone quietly and surely, like hope for the future.